So obviously not legal advice. Subscribe, like, dislike, show it to your favorite uncle, please. Just a little background, I have 35 years plus of legal experience, including multiple civil jury and bench trials, and I'm responding with that as a background, but this should not be interpreted as legal advice. Today I'm going to be talking about or bringing up to date as to my claims involving Mmtlp, and I also wanted to and this is kind of part of what this channel is designed to do, is to demystify legal processes so that when you are faced with legal proceedings or dealing with an attorney, I'm hoping to make it a little easier for everybody to kind of figure out what to do and to reduce the stress level. So I'm going to go through and give you an update in terms of where I am in terms of my current lawsuit, and I will explain some documents to you also. So first thing is the document that kind of asserts the claims of the plaintiff against the other party and the claims that are going to be decided at a trial. That document is called a complaint, and there can be various versions of a complaint. Those are called amended complaints, and you can file an amended complaint for various reasons under various circumstances. And the class of documents that includes complaints and things like that, and you've probably heard this term before, that class of documents is called pleadings. So in my particular case, here is a copy of the complaint that I filed, and this is the first amended complaint, and this document was filed in Superior Court of Los Angeles. It's about 20 pages long. As you can see, there's a box here, and this is called the caption, and top is the plaintiff, the person who's suing is me, and in this box is a list of defendants, and it lists the current defendants in this matter, starting off with Fidelity, FINRA, FTCC. Here is the case number. This is the title of the document, First Amendment Complaint, and under where it says 4, declaratory relief is the first claim, and there's 4 different claims. And those are the claims that make up the complaint. And another video I will go over actually the specific claims, but generally this is the complaint. This document is provided to the defendants, and so I'm going to stop here for a second. There's a lot of terms that I'm going to be throwing out. I don't expect you to remember these terms. What I'm going to do, though, is I'm going to constantly revisit these terms, so eventually, even though they may not make sense today, maybe down the road they'll make a little more sense. So again, this is the First Amendment complaint, and I've showed you basically who and what this document is. And per this document, there are 3 listed defendants, and those are the defendants that I previously mentioned. That number could grow, and that's why, if you'll notice in the bottom of the box, I mean, you may not be able to see this, but it says endos 3 through 100, which means that sometimes you can start a case and you may not know all the defendants, and you may discover them later, so you can add them. And the way you do it is through something called DOs, and those kind of reflect people that you don't know of. Anyway, so after the complaint is served, and how is the complaint served? The complaint is served by either personally delivering a copy and a summons to the defendant, or sometimes there's alternative ways, especially if there's a corporate entity. You might be able to serve. They often have a designated agent. You may be able to serve them. You may be able to serve them directly at their headquarters, but generally there's a way to provide them the information. After they get served, then they have a period of time to respond. In California, that's 30 days, and often in federal court it would be the same. If they do not respond, a judgment can eventually be entered, but it also easily can be set aside. So if you're dealing with a legitimate entity, it's best to kind of get through the service part and move on, because otherwise you end up wasting time. So getting back to my complaint, and it's the First Amendment complaint. So after the case was filed in state court, because additional parties were brought in, and because of certain claims, federal court became the appropriate and the right court. So the attorney for FINRA filed a proper request to remove the case to federal court, which I did not oppose because I thought it was right and that's where it was going to go. So this is a copy of that particular document. It says notice of removal on this document. So the state court action that's reflected in my First Amendment complaint is now removed to federal court. And this is, again, like about a 50 or 60 page document that was filed by counsel for FINRA. So after that is done, we got opposed. I did not oppose the motion, and now I can bring you up to speed as to where we are as to each of those parties. So in state court, Fidelity had already filed a motion to arbitrate. Because the case had been moved to federal court, their motion won't be heard, obviously, in state court. I expect, though, they will renew their motion to arbitrate in federal court. I expect and have a particular strategy I will follow. I'm not going to disclose it at this point. And I expect Fidelity will renew their motion and file it probably within the next 14 days. Again, this is for me in these matters, this is not a sprint. This is a marathon. So I am perfectly patient in proceeding at the pace that is necessary to get what I'm looking for. So that takes care of Fidelity. And I did serve Fidelity with discovery, and I will kind of go through that in another video. I don't want to give too much at one point in time because it's going to be hard to synthesize and understand what I'm talking about. So I'm trying to keep it in small bites. So we've dealt with Fidelity. FINRA intends to file a motion to dismiss. I don't know for certain, but that's what my expectation is. I think I will know for certain by the beginning of next week. I expect that they will assert the same defense that they asserted in Rose's case for some immunity base and maybe other grounds. I expect next week to know what they intend to do, and I expect that they will do whatever they're going to do sometime again within the next couple of weeks. The DTCC just appeared in the case, so all three parties are now in the case. I expect to receive a responsive pleading, some type of responsive pleading from them within the next 14 days. And obviously I'll keep everybody apprised as I get that. Now, I just used the term responsive pleading, and who knows what I'm talking about, but I'll try to explain it. A responsive pleading in a state court is a demur, and in a federal court it's called a motion to dismiss. And this is what I'm referring to. There are other types of responsive pleading, but for our purposes right now, those are the two that are most relevant for our purposes. And what a responsive pleading in this case would be a demur or motion to dismiss. It's a procedural motion that basically tests the complaint as to whether it states a valid claim. And when I say a valid claim, that's according to the judge and long before you get to trial. It doesn't really judge the merits of your claim, whether you're right or wrong. It just looks to see whether the claim can move ahead as it has been stated in the complaint. So that's usually the first hurdle to overcome. One reason why a motion to dismiss might be granted by a court is that they found a party was immune from suit, like FINRA is claiming in Rosa's action, and which I'm sure they will try to claim in my action too. So that brings you up to date as to where my action is. I will update you next week after I receive further information, and then I will discuss the issue of discovery and where that is, and at some point in time, either next week or thereafter, I will go over the specific claims that are asserted in the First Amendment complaint that is now in federal court. If you have any questions, comments, feel free to leave them. If this was too confusing, feel free to tell me that also, and feel free to ask any questions.